In today's world, we're all up against endless pressures, work deadlines, family responsibilities, and unexpected challenges that life throws our way. It can feel overwhelming, right? Day after day, we strive to keep up, often wondering if there's more to life than this constant battle. But let me ask you this. What if these struggles aren't just obstacles? What if, hidden within each challenge, there's an opportunity waiting, an opportunity to become something greater, to build a foundation for a stronger, better you? Could it be that every hardship is preparing us for something bigger? Let me share a story that might feel familiar to you. Once, there was a young boy who, like so many of us, was curious about the meaning of success and how to achieve it. He was full of questions about life and how he could one day stand on his own, respected and strong. One summer day, he turned to his grandfather and asked, "Grandpa, how can I become successful? What do I need to do to make my dreams come true?" His grandfather, a wise and patient man, simply smiled. He didn't respond right away. He knew that some lessons are better learned through experience than words. After a thoughtful pause, he gently placed a hand on the boy's shoulder and said, "Come with me." The grandfather led his grandson outside to the garden. The boy followed, a little puzzled but intrigued. This wasn't what he expected when he asked about success. "Why are we going to the garden?" he wondered silently. But he trusted his grandfather, who had always been his guide. Together they walked among the plants, feeling the warmth of the sun and the gentle rustling of leaves in the breeze. Finally, the grandfather stopped, gesturing to two small empty spots in the soil. He looked at his grandson, a glint of wisdom in his eye. "Today, I'm going to show you what it truly means to grow and thrive," he said. And with that, the lesson was about to begin. The grandfather took the boy to a small nursery nearby, where plants of all shapes and sizes filled the space. After some browsing, he chose two small saplings, identical in appearance but waiting to grow and make their mark. The boy watched curiously, still wondering what any of this had to do with becoming successful. Back at home, the grandfather began planting. He placed one of the saplings carefully in a pot, positioning it inside the house near a window where sunlight would reach it, but where it would also be protected, safe from wind, rain, and all the unpredictabilities of the outside world. Then, with the boy's help, he took the second sapling and planted it outside in the garden. He dug a deep hole, letting the roots have space to spread out, and then covered it with soil, leaving it exposed to the open air and everything that would come its way. The boy watched as his grandfather patted the soil around it, anchoring it in place. Once both trees were planted, the boy looked at his grandfather, confused. "Grandpa, which one of these will grow better?" he asked. The grandfather, as wise as ever, smiled and simply said, "Time will tell." And with that, they left the two saplings to grow. Years passed, and as life continued, the boy grew older, returning to his grandfather's house now and then. But one visit, a few years later, would open his eyes to something unexpected. He walked into the familiar garden, remembering his grandfather's lesson, and immediately noticed the two trees. The tree inside the house was still there, but it looked small, delicate, and fragile, as though it hadn't changed much. Its branches were thin, and its leaves looked pale. It had stayed sheltered, untouched by the hardships of the world outside. Then, he stepped outside to see the other tree. This tree was different. It had grown tall and wide, its branches reaching out in all directions, casting a broad shade over a part of the garden. Its trunk was thick, its leaves lush and green. It looked strong, resilient, almost as if it were standing proudly in its place. Stunned, the boy turned to his grandfather and asked, "Grandpa, why did the tree outside grow so strong, while the one inside, safe from harm, is still so weak?" The grandfather looked at him knowingly, as though he'd been waiting for this question all along. "The tree outside grew strong because it faced life's challenges head-on," he explained. It had to withstand storms, scorching sun, rain, and even strong winds. Each hardship made it adapt, made it stronger, forcing its roots to sink deeper into the ground to hold on. The grandfather continued, his voice soft but filled with wisdom. But the tree inside, protected from every struggle, never had to try. It never had to reach down, to hold on tightly, or to strengthen itself. It never experienced hardship, so it never grew strong. The boy began to understand, but his grandfather wasn't done yet. He placed a hand on his grandson's shoulder and said, "Remember, strength doesn't come from avoiding challenges. It comes from facing them, learning to grow through them, and letting each difficulty make you more resilient." The boy nodded, absorbing the message. He could feel the truth of his grandfather's words resonate within him, and he began to see the connection between the two trees and his own life. After a moment, the grandfather looked back at him with a gentle but serious expression. "There's one more lesson here, something deeper," he said, his voice taking on a tone that invited his grandson to listen even more closely. Something about patience, about preparing yourself for the long journey, not just the short and easy path. He gestured to the garden once more, inviting his grandson to take another look. "Come with me," he said, as they walked to another corner of the garden, where yet another story awaited. The grandfather smiled gently and motioned for his grandson to follow him further into the garden, where a small cluster of young bamboo shoots grew quietly in the soil. The boy noticed them right away. They were small, humble, hardly noticeable compared to the other plants. The grandfather stopped and pointed to one of the bamboo shoots. "This bamboo here," he said softly, "is quite special. It doesn't grow the way most plants do." The boy's curiosity was piqued. He leaned in, paying closer attention, eager to understand what made the bamboo so unique. His grandfather continued, "You see, bamboo is different. In the first few years after it's planted, it doesn't seem to grow much at all. No matter how much you water it or how much sunlight it gets, you'll barely see any progress above the surface. To anyone watching, it might look like nothing is happening." The boy tilted his head, looking at the bamboo shoot and trying to grasp what his grandfather was saying. "So, it's just really slow at growing?" he asked. The grandfather smiled, shaking his head. "Not quite," he replied. "The bamboo isn't slow. It's just focused on something else first. During those first few years, it spends all of its energy growing deep, strong roots underground. It's preparing itself for something big, building a foundation that no one can see." He pointed at the ground around the bamboo, emphasizing the invisible work happening beneath the surface. The bamboo knows that to become strong, it has to be patient. It has to build roots that can anchor it deeply into the earth, to hold steady no matter what storms come its way. The boy looked at the bamboo shoot with a newfound respect. He couldn't help but wonder at the resilience it must take to stay hidden, working quietly below the surface, while other plants were already shooting up and flourishing. He thought about how, sometimes, it feels like everyone else is moving ahead while you're stuck in place. But maybe, just maybe, you're preparing for something important, something that takes time. The grandfather's voice interrupted his thoughts. He gestured to a patch nearby, where wildflowers were growing tall and vibrant, their petals swaying in the breeze. "And now," he said, "look at these wildflowers." The boy's eyes followed his grandfather's gaze. The wildflowers were beautiful, their colors bright and eye-catching, and they stood proudly in the sunlight. "These flowers grow fast," the grandfather said. "They sprout quickly, reaching for the sun almost as soon as they're planted. They don't take much time to dig deep or spread their roots. In just a short time, they're in full bloom, showing off their colors to the world." The boy admired the flowers but noticed that they looked fragile, as though a strong gust might easily knock them down. His grandfather nodded as if reading his thoughts. "The wildflowers are lovely, but they lack stability. A single strong wind or a heavy rain can knock them over. They may look impressive for a time, but they don't have the roots to keep them standing when things get rough." The boy looked back and forth between the bamboo and the wildflowers, beginning to understand the deeper meaning behind his grandfather's words. The bamboo was patient, willing to wait, to build strength beneath the surface, while the wildflowers seemed to chase quick results, growing fast but without much stability. His grandfather placed a hand on his shoulder, speaking in a low, steady voice that seemed to carry years of wisdom. "You see, bamboo may take years just to grow its roots, but once those roots are strong, it shoots up, sometimes several feet in just a few days. It becomes one of the tallest, strongest plants around. All that time it spent preparing wasn't wasted, it was essential." The grandfather paused, letting the lesson sink in. "The bamboo teaches us something important. Sometimes we need patience to build a foundation strong enough to weather life's challenges. And when the time is right, we grow with strength and purpose, just like the bamboo. It's not about how quickly you rise, it's about how strong you can stand once you do." The boy nodded slowly, absorbing the message. He looked at the bamboo, no longer seeing it as a small, insignificant plant, but as a symbol of resilience and patience. The wildflowers were beautiful, yes, but he could now see the difference. The beauty of the wildflowers was fleeting, dependent on calm weather and fair conditions. But the strength of the bamboo was lasting, born from years of preparation and patience. His grandfather's words lingered in his mind. When the time is right, we grow with strength and purpose. He realized that success, true success, wasn't about instant results or fast growth. It was about preparing oneself, building strength from within, so that when the time comes, one can rise with unwavering resilience. The grandfather stood quietly, allowing his grandson a few more moments to reflect. Then, with a gentle smile, he said, "Remember, in life, there will always be choices. You can be like the wildflowers, quick to bloom but vulnerable to any storm, or you can choose to be like the bamboo, steady and patient, building the kind of strength that lasts." The boy took a deep breath. feeling a profound shift within himself. He felt inspired, realizing that while the path of the bamboo might be more challenging, it was a path worth taking. The grandfather looked at his grandson thoughtfully, his gaze steady and full of quiet understanding. "You know," he began, "life isn't so different from the choices the bamboo and the wildflowers make. Each of us, in our own way, has a similar choice. We can grow quickly, reach for the first opportunity, take the easy path, and enjoy fast rewards, just like the wildflowers do. But here's the thing. Without a strong foundation, when the inevitable storms of life come our way, we may not have what it takes to hold on." He paused for a moment, letting the boy consider his words, then gestured to the bamboo, still rooted in the earth, patient and steady. "Or we can be like the bamboo. We can choose to take the time to build ourselves up from the ground, growing deep roots, even if no one sees that growth right away. It might take longer. It might feel slow or even frustrating at times. But once we're ready, we'll have the strength to withstand whatever life throws at us." The boy looked down at the bamboo, then at the wildflowers swaying nearby, and he began to see the parallels with his own life. He thought about how sometimes he'd been tempted to go for quick success, to take shortcuts, to seek immediate results. It felt rewarding in the moment. But deep down, he knew those victories didn't last. They faded as quickly as they came, leaving him feeling unsteady, like he was still searching for something more. The grandfather placed a gentle hand on his shoulder, sensing the thoughts running through his grandson's mind. "I want you to think about this. Truly think about it," he said, his voice calm but firm. "What kind of person do you want to be? Do you want to be someone who is strong, steady, and able to endure like the bamboo, growing with a purpose that no storm can break? Or do you want the quick rewards of the wildflower, bright and bold, but only for a short while?" The boy was quiet, reflecting deeply. He understood now that this wasn't just about plants. It was a choice about who he wanted to become, about how he wanted to face the challenges that life would bring. His grandfather's voice broke the silence, filled with warmth and a lifetime of wisdom. "Think carefully," he said, his words gentle but carrying a weight that made them feel timeless. "Because this choice, between the wildflower and the bamboo, will shape who you become. It will decide how you face the trials and tests that life will inevitably bring your way." The boy took a deep breath, feeling the impact of his grandfather's words sink in. He realized that strength wasn't about avoiding challenges or choosing the easiest path. It was about being prepared to stand firm, to grow with patience and resilience, even when no one else could see the effort he was putting in. He thought about his life ahead, the choices he would have to make, and understood that while the path of the bamboo might take longer, it would lead to a strength and stability he could depend on. The wildflowers were beautiful, yes, but their beauty was fleeting, vulnerable to the winds and rains that would eventually come. The grandfather gave him a reassuring smile. "There's no rush," he said. "This is a journey. Building a strong foundation takes time, and the reward is worth it. When you choose to build yourself with patience, to grow your roots deep, you're not just preparing for the storms. You're becoming someone who can thrive because of them." The boy nodded, feeling the depth of his grandfather's words, and he knew that this wasn't just a lesson for today. It was a lesson for life, one that would guide him every time he faced a decision, every time he was tempted to take the easy way out. The grandfather gave him one last gentle reminder. "Remember, no one else can make this choice for you. But once you choose the path you want to follow, commit to it fully. If you choose to be like the bamboo, then be patient, be strong, and let every challenge help you grow." The boy smiled back, filled with a newfound sense of purpose. He looked at the bamboo one last time, seeing not just a plant, but a symbol of the person he hoped to become: resilient, steady, and ready for whatever life had in store. The grandfather's lesson left a profound and lasting impression on the boy. He realized that true success isn't just about quick wins or taking the easy way out to avoid difficulties. Real success is built on patience, resilience, and the willingness to face struggles head-on. Strength isn't gained by staying comfortable, it's gained by stepping out into the unknown and letting each challenge shape you, bit by bit. This lesson wasn't just for him, it's a message for each of us. And so, now, let me ask you, what kind of path will you choose? Are you ready to step out of your comfort zone, to embrace the challenges that life will inevitably bring? Are you willing to invest time and effort in building a strong foundation for yourself, even if that growth isn't visible to others right away? Just like the bamboo, can you be patient enough to grow your roots deep, knowing that this invisible strength will one day help you rise above any obstacle? Ask yourself, what kind of person do you want to become? The one who takes shortcuts for quick results, or the one who digs deep, knowing that lasting success is built on a foundation of resilience? Consider this carefully, because this choice isn't just about what you achieve. It's about the kind of life you'll lead, the challenges you'll be ready to face, and the strength you'll carry within. This is the choice we all have to make. It's a decision that comes not just once, but over and over again, with each new obstacle, each setback, and each opportunity. And only by embracing the difficulties, by choosing to grow with intention, patience, and resilience, can we achieve a success that's not just temporary, but one that lasts. So, as you move forward in your own life, remember the lesson of the bamboo. Take your time, grow deeply, and don't be afraid to let the challenges shape you. Like the tree that grew strong outside, facing every storm and season, and like the bamboo that spent years quietly rooting itself in preparation, it's the challenges we face that make us resilient. True success isn't just about reaching a final destination. It's about the courage and persistence we show as we overcome each trial along the way. Every struggle, every setback, and every moment of doubt builds our character, helping us grow stronger and more resilient. As you move forward in life, remember, every obstacle is an opportunity, a chance to grow, to dig your roots a little deeper, and to become a little stronger. Let life shape you. Let it refine you. Every challenge you face isn't there to hold you back. It's there to help you step forward with purpose. The journey may not always be easy. At times, it may feel like progress is slow, like the effort isn't worth it. But just as the bamboo waits patiently, growing its foundation in silence, your strength is growing in ways that may not yet be visible. And one day when the time is right, you'll find that all that work, all that patience, has prepared you to rise taller and stronger than you ever imagined. So embrace each challenge, each struggle, each difficult moment. Let every test become a stepping stone to the person you're meant to be. With each step forward, each moment of resilience, you're becoming the best version of yourself. A person grounded in strength, purpose, and a foundation that no storm can shake.